All right, hello guys. So today I'm going to be doing a short video just talking through some ideas around strength workout finishes for hikers. Now, if you've been following my stuff for a while, you'll know I'm absolutely a massive fan of strength training for hikers. I think it should be part of every single hiker's week, whether you're just training for day hikes, overnight hikes, all the way up to massive through hikes or big mountain adventures. I think it should be part of every single hiker's week because it just has so many amazing benefits. And essentially today, I'm going to be talking through a few ideas you can use at sort of the end of a strength session. If you have an extra 5 to 10 minutes spare, if you just feel like doing a little bit of extra work, you want to give yourself a little bit extra challenge or whatever it may be. And sometimes it can be fun just to sort of have a bit of a strong finish to a session after you've done all your slow, your steady, your controlled work, just to do something that's a little bit more burny, a little bit quicker or whatever it may be, just to finish things off. So I'm going to be talking through a few ideas that any hiker can use just to slip in at the end of a session if they so choose. So essentially, when to use a finisher, there's a few different areas that I may consider this. It's not 100% necessary, but when you may actually use it, number one, if you do have a spare 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the workout, so maybe your workout's gone a little bit quicker than usual, you got a bit of time to kill, maybe you just have a bit of extra time to kill before you have to get out of your session, maybe you just got a bit of a longer period of the day or whatever it may be. But if you just have an extra 5 to 10 minutes, you can do these from anywhere from 2, 3, 6, 8, 10 minutes. Anything more than 10 minutes, you're probably better off doing something else and just doing and extending your normal session a little bit more. But anywhere around this period can be good. Number two is if you are sort of feeling particularly energetic one day or one week. You know, sometimes we just have more energy. Sometimes we feel a bit more motivated. Sometimes we just want to push things a little bit more. And in these situations, it's definitely good just to do a little bit of extra, take advantage of this period. And so if you do feel like you got a bit more pep one day, using a finisher can be a good way just to make the most of that. Alternatively, you know, if you're just mentally, if you sort of like to finish a workout hot or sweaty or a bit more tired, you know, I typically advocate for strength training to be, you know, a little bit slower, a little bit steadier, a little bit more structured. And, you know, you may not get absolutely exhausted with this type of thing, but a lot of people, you know, might just enjoy finish off in a workout like this. They may come from a background of high intensity training. They may just like that feeling of sweatiness or challenge, or whatever it may be. And in that situation, this is a great way of sort of getting the best of both worlds. You can do the majority of your strength workout slow, steady, controlled, and get the benefits of that type of training. But then also at the end, you can do this sort of more finishy, harder, tougher, sweatier thing. So you can finish the session still on that bit of a buzz and bit of a high. So that can be a nice balance there. One thing to say is, you know, your whole workout should not look like this. You know, as I sort of said, strength training should be done in, you know, some particular ways. And doing this for your entire session or the stuff I'm about to describe, it's not a good idea. It's just not necessary. It's not going to be super beneficial over the long term. And I know it's very, very popular in the fitness industry to do this, and it ends up your whole workout looking like the things I'm about to describe, but it's just not necessary. So don't be tempted to turn this into more and more and more of your workout, because if the rest of your workout's too easy and you feel like these things are harder, then you just need to make the rest of your workout a bit harder. Use heavier weights, use more difficult exercises or whatever it may be. But this type of stuff should only really be used for a hiker for about 5 to 10 minutes or so whatever it may be. So with that being said, let's talk through a few ideas of what you can do to finish off a strength workout. I'm going to be talking through 3 particular ideas that I quite like to use for my hikers. Number one is doing something that's called a burnout. So a burnout is the simplest thing in the world. You're essentially going to choose one exercise, one very, very simple exercise, and you're literally just going to do 30 to 100 repetitions in a row with no rest. Or if you have to rest, you're just going to have a second or two and then get back into it. And you're just going to repetition, rep, until it's out. The whole aim here is just to sort of just get a really, really solid burn on the muscles, just add quite a bit of extra sort of volume into the session and just get those muscles feeling, yeah, really burning and really like they're, you know, pretty cooked out by the end. Now, these exercises, they don't want to be something that's going to grind you up, something that's complicated, something that go wrong, something you really have to think about, but they want to be low impact, they want to be simple, and they want to be, you know, quite targeted towards particular muscles. So typical examples of this might be, you know, 50 glute bridges at the end of a session. Just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 50. By the end, your glutes should be burning, and that's a great way to finish a session. Or you might do 100 band pull-aparts if you're trying to get a little extra volume through the shoulders and literally just do 100 of these with a band, and that'll get the backs of your shoulders burning or whatever. Simplest thing in the world. You just bang it out. It'll only take a few minutes, and it can be pretty, you know, pretty handy. Now, there's a few good options that I quite like to use for this. It's definitely not limited to this, but a few that I typically use, using something like a double pulse squat. So, when you go and squat down, a little pulse at the bottom, them up. Do 50 of those in a row. Anyone's going to have a pretty burny legs. Glute bridges, hip thrusts, really good for the glutes. Calf raises, you can just bang out a lot of calf raises if that's something you struggle with, and that can be good. Floor press, so that's like a chest press, but on the floor, get the chest, shoulders, triceps working. Band pull aparts, if you want to do a bit of arms, typically I don't say hikers need to do a huge amount of arms, but this can be a great way of just getting in, a little bit of work. Just do 50 curls at the end of the session, done. One set, a few minutes, that's plenty. So you can really choose any exercise you want here as long as it's simple, you don't have to think, and doesn't really have a risk of anything going wrong as you start to get tired. So burnouts can be pretty effective, super, super, super simple. Second thing you may consider if you want something that's a little bit more strenuous and a little bit more exerting as opposed to just getting that burn is doing drop sets. So drop sets is a sort of a bodybuilding technique which a lot of people will use in the gym. Can be really, really handy to use at the end of a session for a hiker just to sort of get a final bit extra challenge, just to really juice that sort of last bit of effort out of their muscles and really get that fatigue building up if that's something you want to chase. So essentially here, really simple, you're going to choose 2 to 3 strength exercises which work exactly the same muscles. So we're not choosing sort of upper body, lower body, whatever, but if we want to choose work the glutes, we choose 3 exercises that work the glutes, or 3 exercises that work the quads or the hamstrings, or whatever it may be. Now the first exercise should be pretty difficult. It should be something that's a bit strenuous, a bit challenging, or whatever it may be. You're basically going to do that until you hit failure. So you really can't do any more and you're absolutely knackered. And then immediately after, you're going to go to another exercise, which is slightly easier, but it's working the same muscle. So you're going to go hard exercise until you can't do any more, moderate exercise until you can't do any more, and then typically easy exercise until you can't do any more. So you're just doing more and more and more and more on that already fatigued muscle. So a few examples of this, really, really simple. You might do goblet squats, so holding a dumbbell or a back squat if you like your weights. You might do 10 or 12 of those, choose a weight where you fatigue there. Then immediately after, you've dropped the weight and then you do those double pulse bodyweight squats until you can't do any more. So you might do 15, 20 of those and the legs are really getting cooked. And then immediately after, you might just do a box squat. So that's like a half squat, just hitting the box and coming up and do as many of those. As you can see, it gets slightly easier. You can just get a little bit extra workout again and again and again. That whole thing would take you about 5 minutes at most, and you just do it once, happy days. Another thing you may do is sort of doing a hip thrust if you're looking at the glutes. So you might do a dumbbell or a pack or a barbell hip thrust where you're pushing your hips up, squeezing the glutes. Do as many of those as you can, until you get fatigued. Then you get rid of the weight and you just do body weight and do as many of those till you get fatigued. And then you just go onto the floor. You do the same movement, but you're not actually raised with your torso. You just go into a glute bridge, as many of those. Slightly simpler and just keep on burning out. Or you can do something like, Bulgarian split squats or lunges and load those up, make them heavy, do 8, 10, 12 on each leg, cook them out, and then immediately go into step ups, which is the same muscles, quite a bit easier, and that works there. So you can get really, really creative with this. You can do upper body, arms, whatever it may be, but just do one setter and one round of this is a good way to finish things off. Really, really simple. And then the final finisher that I'll talk about today is doing something that's called density set or density training. This is really, really simple. You basically choose 2 to 3 strength or core exercises. So unlike the drop sets where these are, same, it has to be the same muscle group. This one, you can sort of have a mix. You can sort of do lower body, upper body, core. You might do 2 lower bodies and a core. You might do two upper bodies and a lower body, whatever you want. You're basically going to set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes, whatever time you actually have. And you're going to repeat each exercise for 10 repetitions or so, or maybe 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever you want. And then you're basically going to do as many rounds as you can of this within the time allotted. So this isn't a race where you're rushing through the repetitions like you may do in some particular workouts. You're still keeping this steady, but you're just doing as many rounds as you can. Now, this isn't so much working to failure, to that absolute limit that the drop sets are, that previously where you can barely walk and you're shaky and all of that, but this should be a bit of a challenge. So you should get to the end of the 10 reps, feel like you need a rest, move on to the next exercise, and then just keep on doing this. So typically if you're doing this for 10 minutes, you may fit in 4 or 5 sets of these exercises and just bang through it, and could be a really nice way to finish this off. So what this may look like is, say you may set a 10-minute timer. You might do hack squats. So you got heels elevated going through a squat, do 10 of those, then straight into a hip thrust, 10 of those, and then do a suitcase carry for 30 seconds on each side. And then just repeat that as many times as you can, for the 10 minutes. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Or you might do sort of a goblet squat, 10 of those, and reverse lunges, 10 on each leg, and then V-sits, which is an ab exercise, and do 10 of those, and repeat that as many times as you can. Or you might do a deadlift and a push-up and a leg raise or whatever. You can really get sort of very, very, you can just mix this up, choose whatever you want, but it can be, a really simple way just to finish off that little extra bit of work at the end of a session. So all of those finishes, they will work. They all have different uses. They all can be pretty enjoyable. As I said, your whole session shouldn't look like this, but as a little bit of the end of strength workout can go a long way. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas just to try these. You can try one, try the other, just randomly use them, whatever it may be. These things don't have to be planned so much. Just use them when you feel like. And it might be a nice way just to end off your sessions, cap everything off and get you walking out feeling really, really good. Now, if you did want to learn a little bit more about this, if you want a bit of a hand putting together your workouts, you need a bit of extra help getting fit, strong, resilient for your hiking adventures, or you wanted some, particular personal coaching or whatever it may be, you can find out a little bit more about my training programs for hikers at summitstrength.com.au/online. And you can learn about my programs. You can check out what I do for hikers, and all of that. So hope you have enjoyed this video today. Hope you got a little bit out of it. Hope it does help you. If anyone does have any questions off this, feel free to reach out. But I hope it gives you some ideas to really finish off your training, finish off your strength workouts, and get the most out of those sessions. So hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll talk soon. Bye.